Welcome back. So in the last session, we understand what is the difference between the call and apply. Okay, in this video, we are going to learn what is bind. Okay, these are called like function borrowing or method borrowing. Hopefully, you watched the previous video. If you didn't watch or if you didn't practice the previous session, please go back and watch it, understand it, practice it, and come back here. Otherwise, it's very difficult to understand. Okay, suppose if you're watching this video now, that means you already done a practice about call and apply. So in the last session, so if you see, if you have a any object, like we have taken three objects, we have a first name and last name, and we have a common method outside, and it is just printing the first name and last name. And if you want to give any extra details, so age and location, with the help of call apply, we can do that. Okay, so here we have taken too many objects so that it will be confusing. So let me remove these extra objects to understand call and apply. I've taken that one so that we can simplify, and I will just revise quickly, and then we can jump into the bind method. So this one, so this is call apply. So the difference between the call and apply is this call will expect this extra parameters as a comma separated values, and apply you can pass it as a array. That's the only difference. Okay, so hopefully you guys remember what we have learned. So now, what is a bind actually? What is the bind? So if you see, you are borrowing, suppose get full details is a method, and you are borrowing it for employee with the help of call or apply. Okay, but here whenever you are going to use the bind, that is a really important thing. So it will return a bind function. So here let me do that. Get full details dot bind. Get full details dot bind. Here again I'm passing employee object for first name and last name, and you can pass extra values as well. Suppose age, here I'm passing 25, and the location I'm just putting Mumbai. Okay, what I'm doing location as a Mumbai. So for these details, whenever you use call and apply, with extra parameters with this array, it will execute this function. It will invoke this function immediately with the reference of this object. So let me execute those things before entering into the bind method. So if you see, it is printing uh, Vijay K, and this is printing Vijay K, and it is also taking the values like call. It is taking extra parameters 23 and Hyderabad like this, and it is going to be executed. Fantastic. So here what we are doing, we are calling the bind method. A bind method will return a function. So here, so that we should collect that information, right? So my function is equal to get full data dot bind. Let me do console.log, because if you invoke this get full details dot bind, it is not going to give any result. So what it will do, it will bind this get full details with this object and these parameters, and it will return a function, and you can use that function later at any point of time. So first let's see what is there in that function. Okay, this is a my function. I'm just going clear and app. So you see, it is just giving that information that this is a function and it is bounded to get full details. It is bounded to get full details. So how to utilize this one? So suppose later point of time, like maybe after 100 lines of code or after 1,000 lines of code, so if you want to use this function directly, you can invoke it. That's right. Just invoke this. What will happen? So whenever you do get full details dot call, whenever you do get full details dot call and you're passing the object and you're giving 23 and a hydrometal like extra parameters, so it will give a results immediately, right? It will give the results immediately. Okay, but here what's happening, it is not going to execute, it will not give the results immediately. It will return that method. It will return method, binded method. So later point of time you can utilize that. So what is the use of that? Like actually why we need to bind and why we need to use later? Okay, there are some advantages in JavaScript. So those are polyfills and currying. Okay, so these are advanced topics. Definitely we are going to learn about these things. Okay, meanwhile if you want to learn polyfill and currying, so just go to Akshay Saini's Namaste JavaScript. He has explained in a beautiful way. Of course, I've learned many of things from him only. Thanks always for him. Thank you. So if you want to learn, because it will take some time for me to prepare this video on polyfill and currying. So meanwhile, please go and watch those videos which is there in Namaste JavaScript. So now if you see, you can invoke later point of time. Okay, here suppose you have done some logic here, some logics here, later point of time, here you don't need to pass again object, you don't need to pass 25, you don't need to pass the Mumbai, nothing. So it is already binded everything, just invoke it. So how it is works, like get full details dot call and how it is giving results immediately. Okay, here you are just holding that in a in your own method and you are going to utilize it later. Now if you see, whenever we invoke this my function, definitely you will get the same result, like employee first name and last name and the 25 and the Mumbai. So just clear and note that's what, right? So Vijay K25 Mumbai. So now for understanding purpose, so if you see, but in get like bind method, don't give arrays. Okay, don't pass the information in the form of array. So it doesn't allow that. Okay, it will give some unexpected results. So it is very close to, this bind method is very close to call. So now I'm just commenting this one. So we can compare these two things. So now you can understand easily. Simple. Whenever you use call, bind is also similar to the call. So it is expecting the object, and if you want pass, you can the pass optional parameters. Here also same, you are passing the object and you are binding that object to this keyword and you are passing extra parameters. The only difference is here it is going to return a function for later use. Here it will invoke immediately. This get full details is going to invoke immediately. Here this get full details will bind all these details and it will bind to a new function and it will return to you and later you can utilize it. Okay, I think I have repeated two or three times for just understanding purpose only. So I hope you guys understood. So now if you see two things, suppose I will comment this one. So if you see, if you just do this one, you don't get any result. You don't get any result. Okay. Get full name dot call, you are passing the same way. Get full details dot bind. So here it will return the method, here it will return the result. So for the second one, you don't get any results because, so if you see, nothing is there. That means it is not invoking that function. So now what we need to do, we should just store that returned function somewhere and just invoke it. Now you will get the results. Okay, fantastic, it's working. It's working. Even you can just comment this one if you already understood. And now only thing is, both are working in a similar fashion, call and bind. The only thing is the call will execute immediately, bind will bound your object and optional parameters into a new method and it will return to you, and later point of time you can utilize it. But what is the real use case of this bind method means, like somewhere in polyfills and currying you can utilize this concept, and at the same time in React class components. So if you already learned React JS, in the class components Okay, normally we will do right in the constructor, this dot handle change is equal to this dot handle change dot bind of this. Okay, we used to bind methods inside the constructor in the class based components. If you don't know React.js, don't worry, we are already started React.js training. In that you will learn. So hopefully, well, of course, the simple concept, but I have taken too much time to repeat multiple times. I hope you guys understood. If you understand, please do practice along with the previous video. Okay, first watch the previous video and practice it, and immediately practice this one so that you will understand. Okay, thank you, and see you in the next session with another super important topic.